Hello, Theodore Schubert here, giving you guys another message that you will not hear at church. I guarantee that Muslims have been taking people who are handicapped, physically handicapped, mentally handicapped, torturing them and slaughtering them. And of course, I'm talking about ISIS in Iraq. And according to the report here, it says that the Islamic State's limitless brutality is known far and wide, with thousands of survivors reportedly reporting cases of mass murders, rape, and the sexual enslavement of women and children. Now, new reports reveal that the radical movement has reached a new low, targeting disabled people. Refugee survivors narrowly escaping the clutches of Islamic State fighters in Iraq and Syria have reported that the fighters, they're not really fighters, by the way, they're just Nazis. The fighters often kill and torture special needs civilians when they capture them. 27-year-old Summer Khalil, a Syrian refugee from the town of Al-Hasaka, told of her escape to the Christian Post after she fled her village when ISIS fighters took control. And she said, quote, "We heard of many cases of the fighters abusing and killing disabled people, so I fled with my family and my disabled husband as soon as he could find an exit out of the country." Now, look at the condition of her husband, and you tell me about how difficult marriage is for you, the average individual. Her husband, Salim, is not able to speak, is confined to a wheelchair, and needs diapers. And she said, "It was so hard for me to see him laying down in the car for 3 hours. I had to remind myself when he needed to go to the bathroom or if he needed water. The biggest challenge was at the border crossing. They did not grant us the entry documents, and we had to find another way into Kurdistan." So it looks like the Kurds are not even letting these people in, and I have more to say about that maybe in another video that I will do to show the brutality of the Kurds, how actually the Kurds don't really care about the Christians as many people in the media are saying they do, and that the Kurds are actually not allowing Christians to enter Kurdistan, allowing them to die, allowing them to be beheaded, killed, thirst, and to leave them in dehydration, to leave them in a horrific position of dereliction with no food, no water. But look at this. But look at the condition of her husband. Is one observation that I want to make here. Look at the condition of her husband in diapers and a wheelchair. She's 27 year old. She's 27 years old. This girl, and she's taking care of her husband in this condition. How many women do you know in the Western world? I'm not talking about just America. I'm not going to sit here and pick on America. I'm not going to reduce it to one country. In the Western world, in the modernistic Western world that has been saturated with feminism, how many 27-year-olds do you know who takes care of a husband like this and who would be willing to take care of a husband in this condition? I don't think there's a lot. Now, I have seen and I have heard of some amazing women in the West who have taken care of their husbands in this horrific position. I've heard, um, my father told me a story that he was on a plane one time and he saw a man, I believe he was an Iraq war veteran. He had no arms, no legs. He was helpless, but nonetheless, he experiences love so much in profound levels and in ineffable levels from his wife, and his wife was taking care of him, and she continued to take care of him in a very loving manner, feeding him, giving him water, loving him, all these things, and they even had a child together. So I'm not saying that there's no women like this in the West, but there's so many women in the West who complain about their husbands. Oh, he is getting fat. I remember I have a friend whose wife left him because his back went out and he couldn't play sports with her anymore. I mean, look at this condition. Most of the women today, they complain about marriage. They say marriage is too difficult, marriage is too hard. Oh, the world is so dangerous, it's so bad. And then you have these other people who say the world is so dangerous and so bad. I wouldn't be able to get married because if I had children, the children would be left in this horrific situation. Give me one point in history when it was easy to raise children. And this woman, nonetheless, in this horrific situation, exemplifies the love of Christ by enduring the cross that she has been given and taking care of the husband that God has given her. And that is one observation. Another observation is, why are Muslims killing handicapped people, mentally retarded people? Because Satan hates humanity. That's the bottom line. Satan hates humanity. And a lot of people who are mentally retarded, they have the minds of children. And we sit there and pick on them and say, well, if there was a God, why would God allow his creation to end up like this? Well, who the hell are you to say that creation is wrong? Who are you to say that there's something not deeply profound about someone who is in that condition? Or who are you to say that that person who's in that condition is not experiencing God in a way that you and I would never be able to experience? Maybe a continual awareness of not necessarily the correct theological perspective on God, but a continual awareness of innocence, a continual awareness of having the mind of a child, having the mind of a baby, maybe. And Jesus Christ even says, "You will not enter the kingdom of heaven unless you have the mind of a child." I myself am guilty for many times not thinking like a child, thinking like a typical person of my age in this modern society. I myself am guilty of this. It's very difficult to think like a child. And yet I believe that people who are born with these, we call it disability, but I believe that it is a profound capability to have that innocence, and with that innocence experience God in a way that many of us will not be able to. So what we today would call a disability, in reality is a capability, and it is an advantage. And so we sit here and pick on him. We pick on God as though he made mistakes in his creation. God makes no mistakes, and there's reasons why he creates people this way. There is a reason. There is a purpose. And this is what we have to come to the realization. But Satan hates these people. He hates these people because they have a childlike mind. And so even if this person, let's say a person is Muslim, but they have this mental handicap. Let's say Satan doesn't care if a person is Muslim. He doesn't. He hates humanity. He wants to kill people. Muslims kill each other all the time. Why? Because Satan pushes them to kill each other. He influences them to kill each other. When people begin to realize that Satan doesn't have a rule book, he doesn't sit there and follow the Quran. That's why you'll see Muslim terrorists cannibalize each other. Well, cannibalism is not in the Quran. Well, Satan doesn't play by a playbook. He doesn't play by a manual. He pushes people, he gets people, he deceives them into Islam. He deceives them into these heresies. Once he has them in his grasp, he will push them to the farther limits of evil. Limits, evil that surpasses the limits. Evil that surpasses their own book that they claim to follow. Because once you are in the shackles of Satan, he will make you commit evil, regardless if it's in the book, regardless if it's not in the book. He just hates humanity. That's what this is. The bottom line is the war over humanity. God became humanity to save humanity. Yet Satan wants to destroy humanity. He wants to destroy the very thing that God became. This is Theodore Shubat. Hope you guys have enjoyed this message. Hope you guys have learned something from this message. You just heard some theology. God bless, and God be with us.